Section: Introduction. In this section, we explore the growing importance of understanding the origins of content generated by large language models, LLMs, as their use becomes more widespread. While much research has focused on distinguishing between human-written and AI-generated text, there has been limited investigation into differentiating outputs from various LLMs, whether they are entirely different models or different versions of the same model. Being able to identify the source of generated content could provide valuable insights into the popularity of different LLMs and the data used to train them, as well as highlight unique features of each model's outputs. We aim to determine if LLMs have distinct characteristics that allow us to differentiate their outputs reliably. Inspired by recent findings in computer vision, where different datasets can be distinguished by classifiers, we set up a similar classification task for LLM outputs. We collect a large number of text outputs from various LLMs using the same prompts and train a classifier to identify which model produced each text. Our framework includes a 5-way classification problem involving models like ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, Gemini, and DeepSeek. We find that a classifier fine-tuned on LLM outputs achieves high accuracy, indicating that LLMs do exhibit unique traits. For example, when we train on outputs from ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, Gemini, and DeepSeek, we achieve a classification accuracy of 97.1% on validation data, significantly better than random guessing. Even within the same model family, we see a notable accuracy of 59.8% across different sizes of the QWEN 2.5 series. Our classifiers also generalize well to outputs from prompts not included in the training set. We observe that controlling the length and format of outputs through prompts still yields high classification accuracy. For post-trained LLMs, the classifier can identify the model even with just the first few tokens of text. However, when we classify outputs from the same LLM using different sampling methods, the accuracy is only slightly above chance. We also notice that improvements in text embeddings and larger training datasets enhance classification performance, similar to standard text classification tasks. To understand the unique behaviors of LLMs, we analyze how different types of information contribute to their outputs. When we shuffle words in the generated responses, we see only a slight drop in classification accuracy, suggesting that many distinctive features are tied to word distribution. We identify specific phrases that are consistently linked to each LLM and find that Markdown formatting adds some unique characteristics post-training. Even when we disrupt word distribution through semantic preserving transformations like rephrasing or translating, we maintain over 90% accuracy. This indicates that semantic information also plays a role in the uniqueness of LLMs. Through our analysis, we gain insights into the characteristics of different LLMs. For instance, ChatGPT tends to provide detailed explanations, while Claude favors concise and clear responses. We also highlight the implications of our findings, cautioning against using synthetic data for training LLMs, as these unique traits can be inherited. Our framework can also help assess similarities among various models, whether they are open source or proprietary. Section Summary. In this section, we explore the ability to distinguish outputs from different large language models, LLMs, by constructing a classification task that assesses their unique idiosyncrasies. Our findings reveal that classifiers can achieve high accuracy in identifying LLMs based on their generated text, indicating significant differences in their output characteristics, which are influenced by factors such as word distribution and semantic content. Section: Main Observations. In this section, we observe that neural networks achieve surprisingly high accuracy when classifying outputs from large language models, LLMs. This finding holds true across various settings, including different model families and sizes. Since our task is a sequence classification problem, we fine-tune a strong sequence embedding model called LLM2-VEC with a multi-class classification head and report the resulting accuracy. We provide training details in the appendix. We categorize the LLMs used to generate our output datasets into 3 groups for a fair comparison. 1. Chat APIs. This group includes advanced LLMs accessible mainly through APIs, such as GPT-4o, CLAUDE 3.5 Sonnet, GROK2, GEMINI 1.5 Pro, and DeepSeek v3. We refer to them simply as ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, Gemini, and DeepSeek. Most of their architectures and weights are proprietary, except for DeepSeek. 2. Instruct LLMs. These models are trained to produce high-quality responses based on human instructions. We consider 4 LLMs of similar sizes: Llama, Gemma, Qwen, and Mistral. 3. Base LLMs. These are the foundational versions of Instruct LLMs, pre-trained on large text datasets without any additional training stages. Throughout the paper, we refer to these categories as Chat, Instruct, and Base. For each LLM and prompt dataset, we collect 11,000 text sequences, dividing them into 10,000 for training and 1,000 for validation. We generate outputs for Chat APIs and Instruct LLMs using UltraChat, while for Base LLMs, we create new texts using prompts from Fine Web. More details on response generation can be found in the appendix. We report results for classifying outputs from various combinations of Chat APIs and Instruct Base LLMs. In each group, we list all possible pairwise combinations of models and also include cases with all models. For the binary classification task, our neural network consistently achieves over 90% accuracy, with one exception. Many combinations of Chat APIs and Instruct LLMs even reach up to 99% accuracy. In the more challenging multi-class classification tasks, we maintain strong performance, achieving at least 87.3% accuracy across all groups, highlighting the unique characteristics of different LLMs. Confusion matrices for our classifiers are available in the appendix. We also evaluate performance when distinguishing responses from LLMs within the same family, noting that these models usually share training procedures. We analyze the effect of model size using 4 Qwen 2.5 Instruct LLMs with varying parameters. Although the classification task becomes more challenging, our classifiers still perform well above chance accuracy. In binary classification, the highest accuracy is 85.5%, while in full combination setups, it is 59.8%. We also see high accuracy when classifying responses from Base and Instruct versions of the same model, achieving 96.8% accuracy when distinguishing outputs from Qwen 2.5-7b Base and Instruct models. Finally, we find that our classifiers generalize well to responses outside their training distribution. To test this, we collect responses from Instruct LLMs across 4 diverse datasets: UltraChat, Cosmopedia, LMS-WiseChat, and WildChat. These datasets come from different sources and serve various purposes. We train a classifier on a group of model responses and evaluate it across all 4 datasets. Our classifiers demonstrate strong generalization, indicating that they learn robust and transferable patterns. Section Summary. In this section, we observe that neural networks achieve high accuracy in classifying outputs from various large language models, LLMs, consistently exceeding 90% in binary tasks and maintaining strong performance in multi-class scenarios. We categorize LLMs into 3 groups: Chat, Instruct, and Base, and demonstrate that our classifiers generalize well across different datasets, indicating robust learning of transferable patterns. Section: Controlled Experiments. In this section, we analyze the behavior of a synthetic classification task in controlled settings. We focus on the accuracy of the n-way classification task for each group. For prompt-level interventions, we examine how unique characteristics in LLM outputs respond to specific prompt modifications. We adjust the original prompt by adding instructions to limit response length and format. For instance, we ask for concise answers in a single paragraph of no more than 100 words and request plain text responses without any formatting. The results of these interventions are shown in the appendix. We find that LLMs can adhere to these instructions, and our analysis indicates that neural networks still perform well in classifying outputs, even with these constraints. This suggests that the unique traits of LLMs are inherent in the text they generate, regardless of superficial limits on length and formatting. Next, we control the number of input tokens for text embedding models by truncating responses to a set number of tokens from left to right. The results show that across 3 groups of LLMs, the classification task improves with more tokens. Interestingly, for chat APIs and instruct LLMs, we achieve about 50% accuracy with just 1 token, indicating that the first token carries significant information for classification. We provide additional evidence for this in a later section. We also explore different sampling methods by using 4 common decoding strategies: greedy decoding, temperature softmax, top K, and top P sampling. We generate responses from the LLM for each method and fine-tune the LLM2-vec embedding model to identify the sampling method used. The results reveal that distinguishing between responses from the same LLM is challenging, with the highest accuracy being only 59%. In a more detailed classification task involving softmax sampling at 5 different temperatures, we achieve an accuracy of 37.9%, which is only slightly better than random guessing. We then vary the pre-trained embedding models for sequence classification, moving beyond our previous default of fine-tuning LLM2-vec. We consider various models, including ELMO, BERT, T5, GPT-2, and LLM2-vec. The results show that all models can achieve high accuracy, with performance improving as we use more advanced models. Notably, LLM2-vec performs the best, achieving 97.1% accuracy on chat APIs, 96.3% on instruct LLMs, and 87.3% on base LLMs. We also examine the impact of training data size by varying the number of training samples generated by LLMs while keeping the total training iterations constant. The results indicate that classifier performance increases with more training samples, consistently observed across all LLM types. Even with just 10 training samples, the classifier achieves a significant accuracy of 40.3% on instruct LLMs, exceeding the 20% chance level. Finally, we identify specific idiosyncrasies in LLMs using classical text similarity metrics like Rouge-1, Rouge-L, and BERT score to measure lexical differences between outputs. We calculate the mean F1 score for each metric across response pairs from different chat API models given the same prompt and compare it to responses from the same model. The results show that responses from different LLMs have lower text similarities than those from the same model. We explore idiosyncrasies across 3 dimensions: words and letters, markdown formatting, and semantic meaning, applying text transformations to isolate these traits and assess their impact on classification performance. We highlight specific patterns within each dimension that help distinguish between LLMs. Section Summary. In this section, we analyze the performance of LLMs in a controlled classification task, focusing on how prompt modifications, input token length, sampling methods, and embedding models affect accuracy. Our findings reveal that LLMs can adhere to prompt constraints, classification improves with more training samples, and distinct characteristics of LLM outputs persist despite variations in formatting and sampling strategies. Section: Words and Letters. In this section, we aim to understand how different language models format their responses, especially in Markdown. We focus on common Markdown elements like bold text, italic text, headers, enumerations, bullet points, and code blocks. We modify the outputs from these models by keeping only these formatting elements and replacing the rest with XXX. The appendix includes examples of these modified outputs, and we present classification results after this transformation. We find that our classifiers achieve high accuracy rates of 73.1% for chat APIs and 77.7% for instruct models, but the accuracy for base models is around 25%, likely due to their tendency to produce plain text. We count how often each markdown element appears in the responses and plot these counts. Each model has a distinct formatting style. For example, Claude shows a high number of responses without bold text or headers, while other models use these elements more frequently. We visualize how ChatGPT and Claude structure their markdown responses, noting that ChatGPT emphasizes key points in bold and uses headers, whereas Claude opts for simpler enumerations and bullet points. More details on markdown formatting for other models can be found in the appendix. Next, we explore the unique writing styles of each model, which may contribute to the high classification accuracy. To isolate this factor, we use another model to rewrite the responses. Our rewriting methods include paraphrasing, translating into Chinese, and summarizing. The results show that classifiers trained on paraphrased responses maintain similar accuracy to those using original responses. Similarly, classifiers can differentiate between models even with translated text. This indicates that the meanings of words are more important for identifying model origins than the specific words used. Although there is a significant drop in accuracy with summarized text, the performance remains above chance levels, highlighting the semantic differences in responses. We also conduct an open-ended language analysis to study the semantic differences in responses from various models. We use another model to analyze pairs of responses generated by different models based on the same prompt, examining aspects like tone and content. This process is repeated to gather comprehensive analyses, which we summarize into bullet points. The results show that ChatGPT tends to provide detailed and engaging responses, while Claude focuses on simplicity and key points. Additional results for other models are available in the appendix. Finally, we discuss the broader implications of our framework regarding synthetic data and model similarity. We find that using synthetic data for training can reduce classification accuracy, indicating that it narrows the differences between models. We conduct supervised fine-tuning on two base models using dialogues generated by ChatGPT and observe a significant drop in classification accuracy. However, fine-tuning on responses from different models retains unique characteristics, suggesting that synthetic data can propagate the idiosyncrasies of the source model. Our framework also allows us to quantitatively assess similarities between proprietary and open-weight models. By training a classifier on responses from a set of models while excluding one, we can identify which model is most similar to the excluded one. We include the open-weight 5.4 and find that outputs from Claude, Grok, and Gemini are often classified as ChatGPT. Conversely, responses from ChatGPT and DeepSeek are frequently identified as coming from PHI-4, indicating a complex relationship between these models. Section Summary. In this section, we analyze how different LLMs format their responses in Markdown and find that classifiers achieve high accuracy distinguishing between chat APIs and instruct LLMs, while base LLMs perform poorly due to plain text outputs. We also explore the semantic differences in LLM responses through rewriting and open-ended analysis, revealing that unique writing styles and semantic meanings significantly influence classification accuracy, and we discuss the implications of synthetic data on model similarities. Section: Related Work. In this section, we discuss related work on dataset classification and the distinction between human and machine-generated texts. A decade ago, researchers introduced the Name That Dataset experiment to reveal biases in visual datasets. Recently, they revisited this issue, now called dataset classification, and discovered that even large-scale visual datasets, which are claimed to be more diverse, still exhibit significant biases. They identified that both structural and semantic elements in images contribute to these biases. Additionally, they applied the dataset classification framework to analyze biases in synthetic images and datasets used for training large language models, LLMs. While the synthetic task we present is similar to dataset classification, our focus is on the unique characteristics of LLMs rather than training datasets. We also note that many studies have explored how to determine if a text is written by a human or generated by an AI. Some model-free methods rely on linguistic features like n-gram frequencies and entropy, while others use neural network characteristics, such as fine-tuning BERT models. Neural authorship attribution aims to not only identify machine-generated text but also link it to specific generators. Our work, however, emphasizes distinguishing between different LLMs rather than comparing AI-generated text to human text. Furthermore, research has utilized foundation models to highlight qualitative differences between various data distributions, such as image datasets. Some studies have performed hypothesis testing on model outputs to determine if the underlying LLMs are the same. The most relevant study to our work is one that introduced vibe check, which examined user-aligned traits in LLM outputs and found that LLMs often differ in style, being either more formal or friendly. In contrast, our goal is to identify broader, generalizable patterns that help explain the high classification performance we observe.